Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for the Christmas in July series on my YouTube channel for 2022. This is a series of videos posted on my YouTube channel that will hopefully provide you with some holiday inspiration. We are halfway through the year, and as crafters, we start to think about the holidays so that we can get our ideas together and start planning all the products and things that we'll need. So I'm planning to provide you hopefully with some inspiration to get your holiday crafting started. Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today's video is all about making a holiday planner. I've posted videos about this holiday planner in the past, but those videos have been all about what was inside my planner and kind of gave you an overview of how I use my planner. Today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating how I make the planner. So I'm going to be talking about some of the cuts you need to make and all of those types of things. What I do want to continue to share with you is that the printable for this planner is free and available on my website, thedeltacrafter.com. I'll be sure to leave a link in the description below, but be sure to check out my website to see what other exciting things I have to offer over there. So this is the planner that I've created in my most recent previous video on the holiday planner. I love having this planner because it helps me keep organized during the holidays when, so many things are going on, so many activities are happening. You're usually invited to a lot of different places to be around people, and so having this holiday planner helps me keep on top of all the things that I need to do and want to do, and kind of some inspirational things I may find on the internet or in magazines that I want to try out at some point in time. So this is the planner that I've created before, but today I'm going to be showing you how to make the planner. So if you want to see inside this planner and kind of my talk through on this planner, be sure to check out my previous video, and I'll be sure to link that below in the description as well. So the printable that comes with, or that is available for my planner, is about 8 pages. No, actually I think it's 11 pages. 11 page printable. So there's going to be a cover page. There's going to be a page of instructions, so everything will be written out. And then there's going to be several different colorways of the titles for the planner. So this title is what was used right here. So I've kind of made this available in several different colorways so that depending on your style and your color choice, you have an option available to you. For today's planner, I'm going to be using the red colorway as well. Then there are 2 pages of tags. So I went through and I tried to think of as many holidays that I could make a tag, or activities that I could make a tag for, beginning with Halloween. So for me, the holidays begin with me planning for my fall and Halloween decorating and activities and maybe some parties or things like that. And then go through all the way through beyond the January, the beginning of January. So I've kind of tried to think about all of those kinds of things, even activities like Elf on the Shelf and some crafts. Baking, you might want a section for calendars, whatever the case may be. I've tried to think of as many tags as possible, included those on 2 pages of tags. To make the planner, you're going to start out with a plain basic composition book. It is, these come in all different types. You can get the regular size lines. You can get college ruled. There's even a version that is for elementary students where the top part is white. And then there are lines at the bottom. So it's for them to illustrate what they want to, whatever they want to. And then they have lines where they can write sentences about what they illustrated. There's also graph paper, whatever kind you want to use of composition book. Go ahead and grab a couple of those. Right now is a great time to grab them because these are relatively inexpensive right now because of back to school. It's back to school season and begin in July. So I think I paid 50 cents for this composition notebook at Walmart. So wherever you see them, Staples will have them sometimes really, really reduced. So grab a couple of them and just keep them on hand because they're great to have just in general. So you're going to need a composition notebook. You're going to need to print out several, whatever of the colorway and the tabs you want from the printable. And then you're also going to need some holiday themed papers. So this is a holiday pad, a paper pad that I've had for a while. Let me know in the comments below, do you guys ever go through a full paper pad? I have had this paper pad for I don't know how long, and I swear it feels like I have not used hardly any of this paper pad. And I know I have because I have some cut down sheets right there, but alas, it seems like this paper just grows and grows and grows. So from the paper pad, I've decided to use these two pieces of printed cardstock to decorate the front and the back of my planner. For me, when I decorate, whatever cover or whatever paper I use at the bottom of my planner, I also usually use, or something similar, to cover the back. So I cover in the front and the back of my paper. If you're going to use the same paper as you used right here, down on the bottom, on the back, you're going to need two pieces of paper in that design. So that's why I have two of these green snowflake papers. Then I'm going to use this plaid at the top of the planner. So let's go ahead and move a lot of this out of the way and let's get started. So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure your composition notebook. So I'm going to measure from the top, and it looks like my composition notebook is about 9 3/4 long. And is about 7.5 inches wide. But then I also want to take a second measurement excluding this binding. So that's about 7 inches. So I want to go ahead and cut, when I cut my paper, I'm going to keep these dimensions in mind. So let me get a Post-it note. I'm going to write this down. Nine 3/4 by 7.5. 7, no binding. Okay. So I'm going to take about 1/3 of the top of my notebook, and that's where I'm going to put the plaid paper. And then at the bottom 2/3 is where I'm going to put the green snowflake. So if I cut a piece of the plaid paper and make it about 3.5 inches, let's see. 3 inches would get me there. About 3.5 would get me there. That's about what I want. 3.5 inches for the top part. Then the remaining part at the bottom will be the green snowflake. So I have an old school guillotine trimmer that I have had forever, ever. So I realized that I had a piece of that plaid paper already in my paper pad that was already trimmed down. So I'm going to use this piece. I'm going to use up some of my scraps. So I'm going to trim it down to 3.5. Then I'm going to trim it to 7 inches. So this is going to be the top of the planner. So if we look again, I put my T-ruler right there. 7 inches is actually going to give me a little bit of overhang, and that's what I want because I don't want it to be so jam up and tight that I have no wiggle room and no leeway for errors. All right. So now if I subtract 7.5 from 9 3/4, that will give me 6 1/4. So I'm going to cut my green snowflake paper. Oops, let me turn that around. I tore my edge wrong right there. I don't want that at the top. So I'm going to trim it to 7 inches first. Then I'm going to turn that around and trim it to, let's just say 6.5. That way I'll have some extra. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife at the end and kind of trim off the edges. So I've got this. So this will be my front. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to take my second piece of snowflake paper and I'm going to cut it 9 3/4 by 7.5. So that'll be the back of my notebook. Nine 3/4. Actually, I'm going to cut it 9 3/4 by 7. I don't want the binding. Turn it and I'm going to cut it 7. That's going to be the back of my, move that out of the way. So now let's assemble the basic parts of the planner. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and I'm going to do the back side first, because once I get this on, when I flip it back over to work on the front side, there'll be some pressure that'll be on the back of this and helping to adhere the back paper to it. So I'm just going to use some Scotch tacky glue and apply a generous amount of the tacky glue, making sure that I kind of stay a little bit away from the edges, because this is a liquid glue, but I don't want it to kind of ooze out the sides. I want it to be adhered on the sides, but I don't want it to ooze out of the sides. So I've got a decent amount of glue on there. And now I'm going to take my green snowflake cardstock and I'm going to place that on the back, and I'm kind of going to butt it up against the binding or the seam binding of the notebook. It looks like I cut this just a little bit short, because you can see a little bit of the notebook cover right there. And that's okay, because this is the back of the notebook. This is what I mean by wanting to have a little bit extra wiggle room. I should have cut maybe gone ahead and cut to 10 inches. So note to self, note to you guys to go ahead and cut to 10 inches on the length. I'm good on the width, because you can see from here I have a little bit of overhang. So I'm going to come in with my X-Acto knife a little bit later on and trim that off. All right, so now it's time to adhere the front. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my liquid adhesive down. Covering the entire front of the book. I'm going to take my top part and I'm going to place it where it overhangs just a tiny bit. At the top. Okay, so I've got that adhered, and I've got a kind of a glob of glue there. Let me try to kind of dry fit. Yeah, this will work. I did a little bit better with my cutting on the front. So I'm going to kind of come in and lay this down, this green snowflake paper down, butting it up against the binding and also the top pattern paper that I have up there. Then I'm going to press it in place And there we have it. So now our cover is on and everything is ready to go. So now I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and come in and trim off the edge of the back, because that's had a little bit of time to dry. And while I'm doing this, the cover, the front will have a little bit of time to dry. So this is my retractable X-Acto knife. I'm gonna come in and match the curve of the notebook. And you may, depending on how thick your pattern paper is, you may have to do this more than once. Okay. A little bit of hanging off right there. Trim that off. And then to match this corner, trim that off. So now you can see that our paper has a nice clean edge that matches the notebook. So now we've got that side done. Let's do the front cover. Now, because this is 2 pieces of paper, I'm not going to be able to get this, like do it in one fell swoop, because I don't want to go from the plaid paper to the snowflake paper. I might tear something, so I'll just be a little bit more cautious there. So I'm trimming off the top, running my knife along the edge of the notebook. Gonna match up the corner, go around that corner. Then I'm gonna come to where my top paper starts and just kind of go along there. Okay. Now we're on to the bottom half or bottom portion of the paper. So just continue the process, trimming as I go. There we go. Now you can see on the edge here, because I stayed away from the edge, there's this paper is lifting up a little bit. I can come in with my glue and just squeeze a little bit in there, up under the paper. But I'm gonna be just very careful with the amount of glue that I squeeze along here, because again, I still don't want it to just ooze out and be, get glue everywhere and glue my pages together. Don't want that. Then my planner won't be usable. All right. So get all these little scraps out of the way. That was quick and easy. So now it's time to adhere our title page. So I'm going to use this title right here. And because this is 3.5, remember we measured and this was 3.5, I'm going to try to make my title be about 3 inches. 3 inches long. That way I will have a little bit of the plaid being seen. I could also use my, if it ends up not being 3 inches or longer than 3 inches, I could kind of cover both parts here, the plaid and the snowflake, like take it and make it cover both parts. We'll see. I'm going to trim this down and bring it in. So as it turns out, this particular title is about 3 3/4 inches wide when I get it trimmed down. So that's going to be larger than my top section. So what I can do is go ahead and have it straddle the plaid paper and this green snowflake paper, which is fine. But before I adhere this down, I'm going to round the corners. So I'm going to bring in my corner rounder. This is something I've had since my scrapbooking days, guys. It is still working, still does the trick. So I'm gonna round my corners. You can do this. This is just an added touch that I think makes the planner look very finished. And then now I'm ready to attach my my title. But before I do that, I do want to go ahead and use a strip of another pattern paper to cover up the seam, because even with the title being covering up a majority of the seam, you can still see the edges there, and I'm just not a fan. So I'm going to take a piece of this pattern paper, which is also from this collection, trim it down, make a little strip, and about a 1/2 inch strip, and then cover up the seam. All right, so I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to cover that up. Run a bead of glue along here. Little thin bead there. And adhere this down. Doesn't that look a whole lot better? I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, trim off the excess, if it will stay open. There we go. I'm holding this pretty tight because the glue hasn't had a chance to set yet. There we go. All right. So you can choose to pop this up with foam tape or add other embellishments to the title. However you want to adhere the title to the page is really up to you. So that will take care of the cover and the back of our planner. So now we're going to move on. I'm not going to adhere this just yet because I want to work on some of the inside. But now we're going to move on to working on some of the inside. So what I did when I created my planner, you can see also here on the edges of my cover, I went ahead and did some inking on the edges, kind of give it a little bit more dimension and texture. I also used some pom-pom here to give it a little bit of movement and fun. The sky's the limit with how you want to decorate your planner. So what I usually do is I leave the first page blank, and then I take a couple of pages for my first tabbed section. I take about 2 pages and I will glue them together on the edges. That will give my pocket, because what I'm going to do is create a pocket, and it'll give my pocket a little bit of strength for the things that I'm going to put in. So each of my sections has a pocket where I can add things in it. So let's go ahead and do that in this planner. So we're going to leave the first page blank. Then I'm going to take my next 2 pages. I'm just going to run a little bit of a bead of glue around the edges. And I'm going to glue these 2 pages together. Get that out of our way. Okay. And then whatever your first tab is going to be, whether you start with Halloween or, you know, you want a section for costumes, Halloween party, if you host an annual Halloween party, whatever the case may be, whatever your first tab is going to be is where you're going to start here. So the way that I design these tabs, they are in 3 columns. However, they're not necessarily like equal distance. So you may have to work with, when you're trimming the tabs out, to trim them off a little bit, because like Dia de los Muertos is longer than costumes and Diwali and decor, and you know, so you so the width of your tab, you're probably going to have to trim that down. For instance, calendars is going to be the first tab that I'm going to create in this planner. So I've cut my 3 columns down, and this goes here. But I want my calendar, I don't want my calendar tab to be this wide. I'm going to trim it down a little bit. So I'm just going to bring in my scissors. I'm going to eyeball this. Y'all pray for me. Eyeball this and trim this down a little bit, just so I don't have a whole bunch of extra hanging around unnecessarily. And what I want to do, also the way I design these tabs, is I want to have white space at the top and my word closer to the bottom, so that when I fold over my tab, the word is on the front, and then I have a little bit of tab or paper on the back to serve as the back of my tab. This double tab or double layer paper also gives it strength and durability for when you're flipping through and using this. This planner is designed to be used kind of for several years. I've had mine, my new one, for about 2 or 3 years now, and I still have probably several more years to go before I need to create a new one. So you can imagine with it being used over several years, it's going to get lots of wear and tear. So that's the reason why you want to make sure that both your paper that you're attaching it to is sturdy and stable by doubling up the pages, as well as your tab. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to add this calendar tab at the top of this these pages. Now, how I'm going to attach my tabs is I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher. This is a stapler that has teeny tiny staples in it, and I love this thing. You can also use a regular stapler. Either way, it's fine. I like to use the a stapler as opposed to gluing, just for, again, stability and sturdiness. So I'm going to put this tab on there. I'm going to come in and staple. And because these are tiny staples, I'm going to put 3 staples in the tab. And there you have it. You got your first tab on. Now, the next thing that you can do is, like I've done in my planner, you can add a pocket. So you're just going to take a piece of paper from, probably from the coordinating paper pad that you used, and you're going to trim it down. Let's see how big is this piece of paper. This is 7 inches by 5 inches. So 7 inches wide by 5 inches long. And I just attached it, glued it to my tab sheet, my tab pages, and on 2 edges. So the edge, this edge and this edge. That way everything will stay nice and tucked in. And then that'll give you a nice little pocket to place things in. Holiday idea. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to create a pocket for this planner, because if you've been following along for the for this Christmas in July series, you know that there will be a giveaway at the end of this series. And part of that giveaway will be this planner. So I'm going to leave majority of the planner unfinished rather, so that whoever wins the prize will get this planner, and they'll be able to set this planner up to their liking. So they'll get the instructions, they'll get the tabs, they'll get this title, and then I will include some pattern papers from this collection so that they can create their coordinating pockets to go along inside this inside their planner. So make sure you leave a comment on below each of the videos for this week for Christmas in July, because that's how you enter to enter the giveaway for the prize at the end. And the winner will be announced soon. And then I will get this this planner along with some other goodies in the mail to them. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to join the Delta Crafter family, as well as hit that notification bell to be notified of when I upload new videos. You can always find me on my website at thedeltacrafter.com and on Instagram and Facebook at The Delta Crafter. Hope you guys have a great day and enjoy. Bye, everyone.